In this episode of the David Watson podcast, I caught up with Tendbastard. We were supposed to chat earlier in the year. He's a returning guest, and unfortunately we weren't able to do it, but I did catch up with him just now, and I hope you enjoy the episode as much as I love chatting to him. Hello, we're due. We better start recording because you and I have been chatting for 20 minutes already. So let's jump straight in with introduce the dog first. Who's sad?
This is Mickey, the vicious attack poodle. She spent the first 8 years of her life cooped up in a kennel, popping out puppies and pooping on herself in a trailer park meth lab puppy mill where they started breeding her at 6 months old. So like Michael Jackson, she never had a childhood, but she's having fun now. She got trimmed down for the summer and her teeth are fixed and she's on a podcast. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, is she a little cutie?
Yeah.
She's an absolute cutie. Bless her.
Yeah.
And so you're going to pitch me a couple of these country and western songs, or country songs?
Well, one in particular. I've gotten the idea. COVID knocked out all my gigs, and then just as it was coming around in February 2021 again, my eyes went, and so I couldn't drive. I lost my performing songwriter career, and I was just kind of lost for a long. I sat in the chair for 2 months with my eyes closed, and then I thought, Beethoven wrote his Ninth Symphony when he was completely blind, when he was completely deaf. Get back to work. And so I've just become really creative. We talked about that with my last dog, Georgia, after her death. I received an understanding of not understanding what love is or just how love works, a measure of loss, tragedy, and sorrow, which really helped my writing. And I learned that she was the love of my life. How pathetic is that? But I'm just... then I started...
Nothing pathetic about having a dog as the love of your life.
And...
it's the best love out there.
Yeah, and I just realized... I thought, maybe I can pitch songs to other songwriters. There are 10,000 songwriters in Nashville. But country music, more than pop or rock, seems to be the place... Pop, too. Where you can get songs covered. So I started to pitch songs thinking that I'm pitching to the Jelly Roll, Dolly Parton, but who you're pitching to is a song publisher, and they have to think that the song is right for that artist. Then they have to go meet with the artist management and A&R, and they have to agree before they even pitch the song. So I've just gotten 6 no's so far. I've heard my songs are old-fashioned. I don't know what the fuck they're like. How old-fashioned are they? And just not country enough or something like that. And then they go, the lyrics. I'd make the lyrics, but I'm like, if you look, my freaking lyrics are great. What you hear in this country song, it's got a lot of great images in it. And if she ain't country, then skunks don't stink and cows won't ever come home. I'm like, no, don't tell me my lyrics aren't good. That's the strongest. So I'm just getting ready to pitch this song on Monday after the holidays again. And then we'll see what goes from there. And then I started a musical, which I've had for a while, Mermaid of Marmot Hollow. It's kind of an environmental thing about a river mermaid that gets washed down in a flood down close to town, and the animals ask the mermaid that lives near them to help get the mermaid back up to her mountain home to balance nature again. And so I'm just going to have a lot of good ideas. I hope I stick around a while. I hope I don't die soon.
Yeah, I mean, we all have that hope, don't we?
Yeah. Man, a lot of people don't even think about it. A lot of people don't think about anything.
I always admire, when you meet somebody who's really old and you start talking to them, they're like, yeah, no, I'm good to go. I've always kind of hoped that, I hope that's me one day, that I get to a stage in my life where I'm like, yeah, do you know what, I'm good to go. If tomorrow's my last day, I'm all right with that. Because I'm the same as you, I'm not ready just yet.
I finally realized I'm about 89% sure that I'm going to die someday. And I don't know how, or you don't know how or what. I hope I just go in my sleep. I hope, like Stanley Kubrick, Coco the Gorilla. I just want that's the best way to go. But you can't think about it. I'm just saying what I want. I'm saying what I meaning what I say. And
that always reminds me of one of my favourite jokes. I hope I die in my sleep, not screaming and shouting like the passengers in my car.
Who was that? Was that Woody Allen?
I don't know who said it. I just remember reading it or hearing it one day, and it just made me laugh too loudly.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard some Gilbert Gottfried. I didn't know how funny he was. He had a great joke. He goes, Christ is talking to somebody, and he goes, man, I have a hot date tonight. And the guy goes, are you gonna get lucky? He goes, are you kidding me? Because this broad will fuck anything that's not nailed down. Yeah, and that's the beauty of comedy. He has so many jokes. Like I didn't realize he was that funny. I never
I
really.
still like George Carlin.
Oh yeah. Oh man. He said up until about the first 30 years of my career, I thought I was a comedian doing material, and then I flipped it in the early 90s, and I was a writer presenting my idea. Oh, he was deep. His concepts and things. That's what I like about comedy. I'm getting to that point where I can distill things, look at it, and really just break it open and figure out the truth of it. A lot of people don't like that.
George
People don't want to hear the
Carlin's
truth.
observations.
Oh yeah,
He was just
it's just
phenomenal.
incredible.
Phenomenal. And the sad thing is, I never started. By the time, because obviously he wasn't a massive comedy name to people outside of comedy in the UK. But
Oh okay.
because he was pre-internet as well, really, because he passed away, didn't he? So by the time I kind of discovered him, he was already gone.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
And I'd love to
Yeah. It
know
was incredible.
what he would have made of life today. He'd have had an exceptional view on it.
He had a joke where he goes, "I woke up in the middle of the night and I had the munchies, so I got a bag of Oreos, and it said, 'Open here.'" He goes, "Well, that's good because I could spend all night looking for a good spot." I'm like, "Fuck." Him and Stephen Wright. Stephen Wright had a lot of oddball ideas like that.
But yeah,
I'm trying to think which. Oh, I like. What's her name? Mickey's gonna make her exit. There she goes. She's on a podcast. Nina Conti with her little puppets. Oh, she's really good. She has a monkey and an owl, and they all kind of sound the same, but she has good. I just discovered her recently, so I'm watching her stuff too. Nina Conti.
I'll
She
just
sounds
look it
British.
up now, see if I.
Yeah. And the monkey just swears. The monkey's really good.
Oh,
And it becomes absurd at times. She takes the monkey off.
I know who she is. She's
Her
the one.
her hand's still talking.
She's the one that puts the mask over a person, isn't she?
I haven't seen that yet, but maybe she does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see the guys that you're talking. Yeah. I see the monkey and stuff now. She used to have an act where she used to put a big, like, mask over the bottom half of your mouth, and it was like a mouth that would move, and she'd strap it to your head, and she would do the talking to you, for you. So she'd get normally like typically she had the stage act. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll email it to you later. And she used to do this act where you get a male and a female. She just randomly pull them out of the audience, give them a big set of lips each that she could control, and she would basically flirt and talk them into a date. And of course, they're not saying anything; it's just her. And it was the first. I remember the first time I seen it. It was funny. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. You know who I miss? Christopher Hitchens. That's kind of a change, but man, he was able to just rip people up. Just him and Richard Dawkins, but Christopher Hitchens was just brilliant. How long's he been dead? He's been dead 13, 14 years now from cancer or something. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, there was some great. Yeah, there was just some amazing people, and
Brilliant minds.
yeah,
I'm back on Van Gogh again. I mean, he just did this incredible stuff, and I just bought a poster and put them above my bed. And I'm planting sunflowers everywhere this summer in his honor. So it's going to be a sunflower summer with a Tai Chi yoga meditation blast. And his painting was just amazing. And he got pretty much nothing from it until he said 25 years after I'm dead, people will understand me. And his brother's wife, Joanna Bonger, is the one that began selling his paintings. And her brother was an art dealer in Paris, and he comes over and he goes, you know what, just burn all Van Gogh's pictures. I'm like, what the fuck? You're an art dealer? You don't see? I'm like, geez. Oh yeah, he said burn everything. Nope. And she's the one that got all We wouldn't have known about Van Gogh. He would have died nameless. She had about 600 paintings. And just as she died in 1915, Van Gogh really took off.
I
So
remember hearing something about, or reading something, that Van Gogh, he wasn't famous when he was alive. It was afterwards, the work of other people.
there's some debate that he sold pictures. No, but he just no, he lived. He was pretty fucking nuts. The people in Arles in southern France, they got a petition together to say you gotta go. They all signed a petition saying you gotta get the fuck out of town. And now there's more of a belief that Gauguin cut his ear off because Gauguin was a swordsman.
Okay, yeah. Because Van Gogh, didn't he, like, he had a reputation for drinking and womanizing as well, didn't he?
Trying, but he was socially awkward. I don't think many people wanted to be around him much. I would have liked to have been his friend, I think, but it would probably would have driven away. I mean, he didn't really have any friends per se, but didn't need them. Just the fact that he painted all those fucking pictures, incredible. And I've been to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. There's an incredible thing. Here's my most incredible thing about that Van Gogh. I first saw him in a book when I was probably 8 at the oldest. In the summer of 2000, I bring my Polish girlfriend to the United States. Since my family's from Pittsburgh, we're in Pittsburgh. She wants to go to the Museum of Natural History and Science, and we go, and there's a lighting exhibition. Arc lighting, candle lighting, fluorescent lighting, natural lighting, and the subject that they put all of it on is Gauguin's chair, which I thought was cool. I'm like, man, I'm seeing another Gauguin not Gauguin, Gauguin's chair, a Van Gogh painting. And the next summer, we're traveling from Poland to what's a town in Germany? Cologne, Amsterdam, London, but in Amsterdam at the Van Gogh Museum, you come in and there are 8 paintings over here, eight portraits, and they're all his eyes. There's a vortex, his energy. I could feel it and see it almost. Not see it so much, but you'd feel it. Then you go in, all his paintings are all over. And then there's one room with paintings down both sides and paintings down the middle because he painted on both sides of the canvas. And then the next room, I walk in and there's Gauguin's chair again. I'm like, why did I do that? I saw Gauguin's chair in Pittsburgh. We go our separate ways. And about a year later, we end up in the same place again. I think that's Van Gogh doing that for me, his spirit somehow. And people would say, that's crazy, you don't really believe that. And I go, everyone's just trying to figure out the mystery. That's why there's religions. So don't tell me my crazy ideas are any crazier than yours. But to see Gauguin's chair twice on 2 continents, I'm like,
yeah, not many people can say that. But there are, you get these strange coincidences. I had one, I was in Norway a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and
nice.
Visiting a friend of mine who's English, but he's lived over there for about 30 years, I think, right?
Man, yeah, nice.
So, random events that you can't cater for, right? We've gone up to, he's got this cabin in the mountains sort of thing. We've gone down,
nice.
We've gone into the town on the Saturday just to get a couple of supplies and beers and stuff like that. And
let me guess. And you saw Van Gogh's Gauguin's chair?
No. But it's along those things, like things that they're coincidences. But then there's coincidences and coincidences. And we go up to this. I was talking about something I'd seen. He says, "I'll take you up to the dam. There's this big lake because they have a lot of hydro dams and stuff like that." And so they've got this dam. And as we go up there, he'd been showing me pictures from the year before and the year before, that sort of thing, where they're all swimming, him and the family, and kayaking and stuff in this big. But when we get there, this reservoir, this big dam, is having worked on it. So about 2/3 of the water are not in it. And I'm like, we've got to get, we've got to, and I can see these like little islands and stuff like that, and I figure out a way across to get onto these islands. And him and I stood there chatting, and I said to him, you do realise we're probably the first people to have stood here since they built it, and we're probably the first English people who have ever stood here. And the chances of 2 Englishmen being in Norway at the same time that's probably the first work they've done on it where they've emptied it since they built it 100 years ago. It's just like, look, come on, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's
I
not
think
a
in the
tourist
key.
attraction. It's not, but it's just like, yeah. Why is you seeing Van Gogh any crazier than my belief that like this is weird? That because my mate's like,
Well, that's what I mean.
yeah, I got him thinking about it. It's like, no. The last person that would have stood where we are was a Norwegian when they were building it. And the two people standing here
Yeah.
now are two English people. And I happened to fly over. And we weren't originally going up there. It was a last minute suggestion as we were driving home. He's like, literally, instead of turning right, let's turn left. I'm going to show you something.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Coincidences aren't
Yeah.
usually coincidences. Oh, I just happened to be in the neighborhood. No, you fucking weren't. You were stalking me.
Yeah.
But Ken Follett, in his book Keys to Rebecca, talks about this elaborate car wreck and this trained monkey that comes and grabs the attaché case and everything. And he says, if it's a coincidence, if it looks like a coincidence after a coincidence after a coincidence, it's probably not a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's probably not. So,
And that's I have that I have a belief that there's certain things that are a coincidence. You know, today I bumped into a bloke today called Andrew. I see him about every 5 years. The coincidence is that an ex-girlfriend of mine, her and I, he was married to her best friend, who was my girlfriend, and we happened to buy his house off him with the woman that he was married to, and they got divorced not shortly after. So that bumping into him is a coincidence, and because we bump into each other like every 5-6 years, and
yeah.
The connection is you used to be married to my ex-girlfriend's best mate, and we bought your house off you, right?
Did you buy a house with your girlfriend?
Yeah, back then, yeah. We split up shortly
How'd
after.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, what happened with the house? You burned it down for insurance?
And no. I wish I had, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, but then there's things like random things where, like you say, the chances of you being where you were when something happened and that it's like, no, when you got too many coincidences on top of coincidences, there's something
Oh, I've had
bigger.
bullets. I've had bullets fly right in front of me, right in back of me. I've had a handful of people pull guns on me and point them at me. I'm like, holy. I try to go back to my grandparents' house, and the guy comes out with a goddamn shotgun. I'm like, I just told you I'm like, what? That's your response? Like, things are getting weirder and weirder. 3 Karens in 1 month, man. Oh, I hope that doesn't.
So,
Shit.
what? Tell me about the cannabis, the weed.
Well, for several years now, since I've become Tendbastard, people will just, without prompting, go, Tendbastard would be a great name for a marijuana strain. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think of that. And so I kind of tried with the front end first with dispensaries and things. But by the time you get to a dispensary, it's already named, labeled, it's done. You don't talk. And then I realized I have to get all the way back to cultivators. The marijuana industry is very closed-minded. It's difficult to talk to anyone. I found this site, area420.com, down in south central Colorado, about 170 miles from here. And so I finally, and then on that website, you see the 2 people that own it, the pictures of them, emails, and phone numbers. I'm like, that's really different. And so I talked to Mike, and we planned for us to go down. It's been a month ago, I guess maybe 5 weeks ago. We went down there, we drove around talking to people. We were supposed to meet him at 10. We didn't get there until about 12. We missed him, but he's really difficult to communicate with for whatever reason. And then we're just waiting, and we're driving around. We don't know where we're supposed to see him. And we just happened to see these 2 guys stand there, and we roll on the window, go, what are you doing? He goes, we're waiting for Mike. I'm like, well, can we wait with you? Fuck, he's coming here? Okay, and so he did. Then we talked to him some. That guy had a long pitch about producing, what do you call it? Real estate. He bought 11 acres by a national park, which is supposed to be really smart. The land next to a national park, for some reason, is really valuable. So I had to listen to them talk for like an hour. and there were two of them and Mike, and they were in a triangle, and I'd always walk in between the two guys to just stand there, just to be part of the conversation, and Mike would move, and then they'd move, and then I'd move. It took a while, and then finally I got to talk to him, propose the idea of him growing Tendbastard marijuana, because I don't have land to do it on, and yeah, which I finally come to realize, you have to make an original strain. I don't know how you do it. There's so many marijuana strains. There are thousands of them. I didn't realize that were that many. And everyone is, the cultivators, the breeders, scientifically work to make a new strain. I don't know how you test to see if that strain is positively 100% unlike anyone else's. And that's something I have to do, I guess. I now finally realize that no one else is going to make a strain unless they want $250,000 or something, which I don't understand why it would take that much. So after this podcast, I got to go pick up aquaponic equipment that I saw on Craigslist and see if it's possible to. I don't know how I'm going to do it if I take someone else's seeds. Someone's supposed to send me seeds. Don't use my seed. Don't make my strain. So what am I? How are you gonna? That's the mystery. That's the next step I have to figure out. And then still growing. One guy down there from Warrior Farms, he said, this year it's already done. I guess all the marijuana's in. The first growing day was June 1st. They're at 7,500 feet, so I think they have a shorter growing season. More people are growing outside now. They're getting away from indoor growing because it's so expensive, light and everything. They're just more or less putting them in the ground, and I don't know what you could do to fertilize it and make it as powerful as possible. I'm going to try aquaponic, where it grows in a little bit of soil, and then the roots go out into water, and so that's the next step. But even everyone's got their stuff in the ground now, so they're committed already to growing.
So is your
Chris
plan
said
then
he would do it
to cultivate your own strain and then license that for somebody else?
Unless I find land in the meantime where I can grow it. I don't know. You can have 6 plants in Colorado, only 3 blooming. It's 3 females. I guess I don't know if you need a male to pollinate the female. I'm not sure because they're feminized seeds. There's a lot of things to figure out.
Yeah,
you got to be careful because
if you accidentally, because there used to be a thing, I don't know anymore, but there used to be a thing where it was difficult to go outside because you had to be careful that you didn't get males, because if you get males, it cross-contaminates and you don't end up with any smokable weed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just gonna try.
That's why they sell feminized seeds, because it's supposed to help.
Yeah,
guarantee that.
Is marijuana legal in England yet?
No.
Isn't that fucking crazy? War's doing well, but you can't have marijuana.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. I used to be very pro marijuana, but I actually had an FDA agent on here last year, and one of the things he was talking about is like the marijuana that I would have smoked once upon a time, allegedly, because obviously it's illegal in this country. The strength of that is nothing compared to what's available today, and the strength of the stuff available today. If you have any tendencies towards some sort of psychosis, it's going to kick it in for you. You know? Well,
if you do, then don't do that.
Yeah, but some people don't realise. And I'm not saying that justifies. Part of me is a believer, is somebody that believes all things should be legal and all people should be accountable for that.
I think so. Leave it the fuck alone. All right, stop telling me what to do.
And but the problem with that is we have to accept that people screw up, and if they do, it's on them.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, leave it alone. It's not a drug, first of all. People classify it as a drug, and they call it's a plant with euphoric qualities. Stop saying it's a fucking drug. Yeah. It's not correct. There's human
you're
stupidity.
okay in the US now, aren't you? Because it's so prevalent everywhere and it's legalized in most
It's not
states.
federally legal. You can't federally trademark it. I'm not even sure if you can by state, but I think the states are growing slowly but surely. Colorado, California, Oregon, and Washington, the whole East Coast, and then Colorado were the first states in 2010. For some reason, it had to be voted on. I guess probably because it, it, people in Congress, even in Colorado, in those states, were all bought into it. That's my motivation. I'm like, people are in politics. They're like, okay, now let's make marijuana legal, but first, let's figure out how we can make money off it
I always found it quite
too.
amusing that the government in America has an issue because it wants to tax marijuana, but it can't because it's not federally, it's not legally in federal law, and they can't tax it.
I think in the state they can,
Yeah, you can
and they can put
tax it at state level,
yeah.
but the government at national level can't put federal taxes on it because it's not legal.
No.
And
Yeah.
and because
Yeah,
of that, a lot of people don't realise that if you're not a US citizen, you shouldn't smoke it even in states where it's legal because it's a federal crime.
I guess. See, that's just so weird. It's so legislated down to just to the very finest point, and but war's allowed to rage on, and all these things.
Yeah, we love a
Diseases
war. We love a war. It's very good for profit. Do you know what I mean? It's any opportunity.
Yes, but I have to look into doing it myself. After this podcast, I'm gonna go pick up the aquaponic equipment and see how to do it. And I'm okay with that. And I've just come to that level. And I also met at the dog park with Mickey. I met a guy named Eric who owns 2 dispensaries here. And he goes, "Oh, I own 2 dispensaries." I'm like, "Oh, well, how about Tendbastard?" He used to be a grower. He said, "Call me." I did. Left a message. He didn't get back to me. And I'm tired of calling people. That's another thing, too. I'm done calling marijuana people. It's just useless. It's just a waste of fucking time.
Hey.
It's almost as useless as trying to get people in Nashville to talk to me.
Who would have thought that stoners are unreliable? Hey, there's a coincidence. Stoners and being unreliable.
Yeah, but the whole industry,
Yeah.
I guess nationwide, I know in Colorado, it's kind of reached its peak in 15 years, and then it gutted out. A lot of people left the industry. A lot of people have reverted have gone from indoor growing with lights, all that stuff, the real expense of that. Electricity is like sometimes 40% of the cost. And now people are growing outdoor. But it was interesting to drive into a place to have all this marijuana growing. And then when we did finally meet Mike, he had a big trailer and all the little plants on there I went, "Hey, hello, fellas, how you doing? Good to see you." And I guess there's a lot of theft. When I first got the idea, I went around Boulder to talk to people, and there'd just been a recent run of people. They do things like take a jackhammer or whatever and just smack a cinder block wall and knock a hole out and go in. I'm like, you know what? But that's the thing they want to steal. So that's the black market still. They're still selling it on the black market, which is still big. That didn't go. Illegal marijuana sales didn't go away, and probably even illegal marijuana
That doesn't
grows.
make sense.
So, but people just
If you can buy it,
Yeah,
why are people stealing it?
because they want to sell it. You know, they want to still sell it on the market, just like before. You meet a person, you buy some and stuff. So, but people just like stealing and like I have very little faith in humanity. One, because governments are just gonna tell us to do stupid fucking things, and people are gonna do them. And then two, just the motivation of desperation, or what people are always gonna do horrible things. And then stupid hatreds, like you said, the woman that hated Muslim and people and stuff. Like, find a good reason to hate people, you know?
Yeah.
But hatred, just stay away from them. Unfortunately, the people that hate and are evil are the ones that really want to get ahead and rule the world.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I think.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? It's, but I don't understand why. I mean, there'll be somebody, whoever's doing it will will be able to give me, as far as they're concerned, a compassionate argument. But I really don't understand why you would go and steal something to sell that, or why people would buy it when they can just go and buy it from a dispensary.
Maybe I don't know either, but I mean it's still going. I just remember a couple of years ago that people were getting their buildings broken into, and I walked in. I found a farm. Went to get T-shirts made. It's a tender bastard, and I found this place, and I'm talking about it. I mean, I guess the marijuana thing came up, and the woman goes, "Oh, there are growers right around the corner." So I go over, and I meet Emily, who's the grower outside. And the weird thing is, after they grow marijuana once in tubs about this big, they just toss all the dirt out. They don't use it again. I'm like, I'll use that dirt. It can't be that. Marijuana can't drain that much stuff out of the soil, but they just throw it. They don't use it. They don't recycle it at all, nourish it again. And I talking to her about Tendbastard marijuana, and she's the head grower, and she's like, I think she was. She acted like it. And she goes, yeah, that's a great idea. So I got her email, and we were supposed to talk again. She never got back to me. But next time I go back for the T-shirts, I go back around the corner, and the door's open a little bit. So I'm thinking, I knock first a couple of times, knowing that people are fucking paranoid. Don't just walk in. But I expected there to be someone sitting in the like reception area. And I open the door, and it's a rectangular room with just pallets and 2 soda machines. And I look diagonally across the room, and I see the door is open. So I go, okay, I'm going to go over there. And I'm pretty sure it's the grow room. So I'm like, people are probably going to be pretty fucking surprised when I just walk in. But hey, that's your problem. You know what I mean? Oh, you're going to scream at me? Okay. Oh, I get screamed at a lot. So, and I go in, and there's grow room here and here. All the lights are on, the air conditioners. And I'm going, hello, hello. I think there were 6 rooms, and there's nobody there. I'm like, well, that's really weird. So I come back out, and as I'm coming out the front door, the crew is coming back. Emily is coming back, and she looks at me, and she's like, what are you doing in there? And I'm like, hey, one of your people left the door open, but that's amazing. And one guy, there was a community farm, 3 acres in the southern part of the state, and I just happened to be there the day before this guy up on his porch. I kind of noticed, but not really. He had his 6 plants out. So the next day I don't find out the next day, but later on, I find out that somebody stole one of his plants. And I remember being in the newspaper office, and he came in, and he just looked at me like, I'm like, that's a fucking weird look. And then next time I go out there, somebody tells me, oh, he thinks you stole one of his plants. And I go, I'm going to go talk to him and tell him. I'm going to tell him why it wasn't me. And so we go up there. I go up with 2 other guys. And then they insinuate like he's a little, oh, be careful. I'm like, what? And they go, and they got concealed carries on. I'm like, this is turning into a gunfight, and I don't have a gun. So the guy comes to the door, and he's still looking at me. And I go, hey, I hear you think I stole one of your plants. But I'll tell you why not. 1, I'm not a thief. And 2, if I came here to steal marijuana, I would have taken all 6 plants. And
I would have taken everything.
You know what I mean? Like, why take 1? You just pull it up and throw it in a bag, pick 1 up, throw it in a bag. So there's a lot of strangeness about it, but I just have to try to I got to figure out how to do it. How do you make an original strain? There's so many goddamn strains, but a Tendbastard, the whole motivation is that it's a great selling name, that if people have a choice between Tendbastard marijuana, plus its qualities, I have joints that are up to 33% THC, and I think 22 is supposed to be really good. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know what you need to do. Or
I don't either. I don't know how you take someone else. You got to start with someone. You got to start with a different strain already in existence. Somehow, you don't cut the seeds in half and glue them back together. I don't know how to do that, but when I'm ready to do that, and it probably won't be till the fall, I got to find out and just start them 3 plants at a time. My 3 illegal females, get buds and get more seeds, and then just keep going from that. But the idea is that Tendbastard is a great name for marijuana. Then we'll get it to be going in Colorado. Then we'll be getting all the states here. Then we'll move it over there. You can take over operations in England. We'll all become big old marijuana kingpins.
I'm up for that. We just got to get it
Yeah.
legalized over here.
Oh, it's just ridiculous. It's not legal. People get killed in countries. I'm like, it's growing wild. Like, how can it be?
But that's the weird
What's
thing.
your problem with it? What's your problem? Why don't you like it? A woman goes, it gets you high. And I go, that's funny. I put that in the plus column for that reason.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's just strange. But the thing is, you know how it works. If people are educated a certain way, you're not going to take them off that belief. And, if people don't like a certain lifestyle, you're not going to take them off that belief. That's what they're...
Well, there was a woman I saw at a community garden. She was talking about scripture. Go forth and multiply. Because we're talking about J.D. Vance telling people to have more kids. I'm like, J.D., there's no fucking people on the planet. Come on. And she was talking about scripture. And I wanted to tell her my correct, fuck anything that's not nailed down joke. And I let that one go. But I told her, I did say, there are 4,000 religious texts in the world. And she didn't have really an answer for that. And I'm like, there's just a lot. People are still speaking Aramaic in some places. And people just have their beliefs. Aren't there 40,000 religions right now? Or 40,000 languages? There's a lot of...
I don't know. I think... I don't know. I have no idea. I'll just type it into my phone and ask, how many religions are there? There's a lot.
I like voodoo. Santeria and stuff. Where you make little dolls to make people sick and stuff. I like that. I like that idea. You don't have to do any of this.
There's an estimated 4,200 religions in the world.
4,000, excuse me. So there are 4,000 religious texts.
But then some people say there's 10,000.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. So what they don't know, so there's somewhere between. But the fact that there's somewhere recorded, there's around, because it's variations of different religions as well. But
yes,
the one thing that they all have in common is that people believe in something outside of themselves, and they live a certain way. It gets them a favor from this belief.
The only religions that can be proven, like the basis, are natural religions, Wiccan or whatever, and those things that are based on the sun and the moon and stuff. Nature.
Yeah, but the
stars.
thing is, I think with all religions,
no one can prove.
All religions, or at least religions as we understand them, have some concept of that requires faith that's not questioned. And if done well, you are reciprocated by some deity.
Which is really fucking strange to think that some god is going to think about you specifically, and do something.
I like the message of a lot of religions, though. Do you know what I mean? The basic principle of don't do harm for others and look after your neighbour.
Just in human nature, you should be smart enough to know that you don't need religion to be a nice just be a nice human.
You don't need it, but it's nice to have.
Don't be angry. Don't.
Yeah, for sure. But human nature being what it is, it's useful. It's like everything, isn't it? It's a useful institution to set a standard of how you can behave in the community. You shouldn't need it. But like any tool, like any tool in the toolbox, it's about how you use that tool for the purpose of the job in hand.
But people have to know that originally. Again, religion is just to make money. All the evangelists in this country and stuff, they have big homes and everything. I saw a guy the other day, and he had like a half-hour show, and 29 minutes of it was asking for money.
Yeah, of course.
That's all it is. When you get into heaven, send your money. I'm like,
there's. I don't think there's been many examples, but the very few examples where if you can get an audience attracted to something, somebody will come along and find a grift to make money out of it.
But it's usually people that are not fully formed, have low self-esteem, that don't have any ability to look at things and process and come to a conclusion on their own. They just want it already set out for them.
Some of the nicest people I've ever met, and it's definitely spoken to on this podcast, some of the nicest people have faith that they are in some way religious, and it doesn't matter whether they're Christian or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But there's it's a bit like and what I'm trying to describe is there's faith at a local level in a community where somebody gives up every other Saturday to sit on a stand somewhere, helping raise funds for the local hospice, and they do it because you should look after your community, and they do it for no other reward than it's the right thing to do by humanity, but they do it under the umbrella of some religious institution. And it's, for me, it's whether or not I'm happy to separate the deeds and the deeds that person does, say, because this, in the eyes of Jesus, this is what makes me a good Christian, I think is different to an institution that rakes in billions every year under the guise or disguise of this is for Jesus. It's not the same thing. But
Jesus is on the cross.
But that same person, but that same person in a different life, in a different location, could live in the middle of nowhere and would help a complete stranger as well with no religious beliefs. It's, do you know what I mean?
The problem with it is it's always other people telling me. You go to the church, it's the preacher and stuff. They're just humans that are telling me about religion. And I've come to the conclusion that with humans only using 5 to 10% of their brain, we can't really know how the universe got started or where we came from or God created. I'm not smart enough to know where everything came from and where we're going afterwards. And I've begun telling people, so if I've been talking to you a little bit, and I go, so if I'm not smart enough to know, I'm damn sure you're not smart.
Yeah.
You can't blindly tell me that you know where everything comes from. You know that God exists.
Do you know that English physicist? I think he's a physicist. He astrophysicist Brian Cox. He's an English.
Man.
He did. He done a lot of TV shows. He was asked about religion. He was asked about religion, and I'm paraphrasing, so allow me some sort of rope here, because I'm paraphrasing. And he just said that as a scientist, as somebody that studies the universe, that's enough for him. That has all the answers that he needs, and he understands that. He said, however, the lack of evidence that something exists isn't evident that it's not exist, that it doesn't exist. He said, the argument that, well, there's no evidence for it, he said, that's not, in scientific terms, that's not proof. He said, you actually have to be able to prove something doesn't exist.
I don't need to know where
the point he made, though, is that...
Yeah, I get it. I agree, that's fine.
He is happy with what he knows, and that's enough for him. And
that's like me. I'm just happy to be creative, and I don't know where the world started. I don't know how we came to be. I look at humans, I look at butterflies, I look at dogs. I'm thinking how we all just became... We had no choice in what we became, and just try to be... I don't know about the rest of the world, but humans, Americans anymore, have no curiosity. They don't want to know. They don't really want to know much about anything. And that's just the brain. Unless you get your own brain going and looking for things, you'll shrink into it. I can drive a car, I can go to work, I can push a broom, I can eat a hamburger, I can buy a house, go into, and then that's all they want to know. And I'm looking for the people like you that can talk and have an interesting conversation. I went out last night and was talking to people, and I'm asking all the questions. And I like asking people questions. And I like people that honestly tell me about their life, but they have nothing to tell me. And I accept that too. Very few people are interesting to me. Like when I talk to women think that every time I talk to them, I'm hitting on them. I'm like, I'm just talking to you. We haven't even gotten to that level yet. I'm like, calm down. I'm like, I'm testing you to see if you have any intelligence. And I'm thinking already, if you jump to that, you don't have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm just trying to fuck with people a little bit too. Like the one with scriptures. I'm telling the jokes. But Christ is on the cross. And one of the disciples comes up to him and Christ goes, hey, I can see your house from here. Man,
That's good.
I think that, I think that's Gilbert Gottfried too. I'm just not interested in. I'm working within my limitations. I learned that a while ago, especially like in music. I'm not a musician per se. I write songs, but I just play my songs. I'm not going to be a lead player except on harmonica. So I'm a musician until I get around musicians. Then I'm a songwriter, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm better being a songwriter. And like I said, now this song has got to sell. Although somebody has a song called She's Country, and it's not as good as mine. But we're jumping around. But in country music, I'll just say this. They never used to use the minor chord. Now there's a lot. I hear bands, and they're all trying to be like heavy metal country. Like, where are they moving to? Whereas country music is getting so narrow parameters of the music and the lyrics that it's begun to eat its own tail, I notice.
Yeah.
What's going to be the next? I've meditated on what the next style of music is going to be. And is there never going to be a new style of music? I jumped from something. You were talking about something else, but I just made me think of that. And just,
no, that's
yeah,
cool.
just being analytical, just being able to figure things out, to just think about things. And people tell me something and I go, and that's a concept in law. Just because somebody says something doesn't make it true.
No, that's true. That's
People tell me shit all the time that just want to lie to me and stuff. But I cut you off. We were on something else, but
no, we were just talking about religion and faith and stuff, and you know, it's
basically just one goddamn religion, one language, one religion, one country. All these things are what divide it and make people die. Just
I don't know. I think the most frustrating thing is I don't know what the solution is, and just because Jordan Peterson made a really good point once, he said the people that you want running the country don't want the job, and anybody that thinks the world would be a better place if they were in charge, they are the problem.
Yes,
and I agree with that.
But I figured out who's going to be the next president of the United States. First of all, Trump's not leaving in 2028. If you think he's going to just walk away from what he's coveted, he had it once, now he's back. He's not leaving. Oh, he can't do that. I'm like, are you going to stop him? People always say that. Oh, you can't do that. I'm doing it. Do you notice? I'm fucking doing it right now. You're telling me I can't do it. But the next president, there's a show called Kill Tony Hinchcliffe, comedian, and his show is a bunch of comedians will put their names in a jar, and then they come up and they pick them out, and and that person performs. If you suck, you get a minute. If you're good, you get a couple more minutes, and then they talk about your show. Well, this has happened. The Tony Hinchcliffe show got one on Netflix, and it was filmed at Joe Rogan's Club Comedy Mothership in Austin, and there is a Trump impersonator on stage already. I've seen it before. He's really good. He can do it off the cuff. He does Trump well. And then they introduce Elon Musk, and he comes out with sunglasses on and doing this, and he starts talking like a surfer dude. And I'm like, I'd walk up to him and go, cut that out. Just fucking talk normal. And then Joe Rogan sits down next to him, and I go, there's the next president and vice president. It will be President Elon Musk and Vice President Joe Rogan. And people go, they don't want the job. Again, you said like that. What else are they going to do? And then Joe Rogan will be the next. The next two presidents, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan. J.D. Vance doesn't have a chance. He killed the Pope. And Barron Trump isn't being...
I don't know. I if I was put my money on something, I would put my money on J.D. Vance. And here's why.
Phew, man.
Right, so...
I don't want that. Yeah, but go ahead.
So I've always had this theory about kind of human society, and it's called the pendulum swing. And it's something it's an analogy that I use to tell people to be cautious, because with the kind of the left leaning, the woke, the liberal, whatever you want to describe it, the pendulum swung so far, and everyone started getting annoyed, right? And the more annoyed people got, the more radical they got, whether you call them liberal, left, I don't care, whatever you want to call it, right? And the problem is whilst like Trump is a vote, and he won by a huge majority, right? So the problem with that win is as that pendulum swings, is you don't know how far it's going to swing back. And one of the problems you've got is, I think that it's only just started to swing back. And J.D. Vance, when he gets in, who's an ultra Christian, conservative, Republican, whatever you want to describe him, is he will be remembered as centre ground at best. And I got a feeling it will go much further, because when the pendulum swings, what you don't know is where the momentum stops. Yeah. And I look at what they call in the UK, what they call right wing. So what they call right wing in America, geez, you know, that would have been 1970s Republican. Yeah, 1970s.
But it's still now, yeah.
Yeah. If
but
you
I don't see much difference.
Ronald Reagan on stage today, people would accuse him of being right wing, and he was nothing more than central. He could have, in 1980, he could have just as easily been a Democrat.
Yeah, I don't see much difference between the two.
No.
It's all a hoax if they go against each other and stuff. They look at their stock portfolio.
By today's standard,
this is going to be right.
By today's standard, he's right wing. If you look at Donald Trump was a Democrat, and so was Elon Musk all their lives, and now they're considered right wing.
Donald Trump said, if I ever did run for president, I'd run as a Republican, because they'll believe anything.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. You know, but that's what you'd expect a Democrat to say. If he was being asked that question now, he'd say that about Democrats, you know. But my point is the needle shifted, or the compass shifted, and what people think is right wing, once upon a time, was left of centre.
Yeah.
If you look at mid-80s, take the Bushes, George Bush, right? By today's standard, he was not even right wing. He was centre at best. And the Democrats and those Republicans, side by side, you could barely split them. And if you put it now, if you looked at Clinton's policies today, he'd be considered right wing. But the problem with that is, how far does that pendulum start to swing? And I think it's going to swing more towards the conservatives like J.D. Vance, because people don't like this craziness.
I was driving through Texas at night back when Bush Jr. was president, and man, there was one station that it was scary. It would just switch on its own. It went from gospel preaching to country music. It was just going on its own. And then I found this station, Talk Radio, and they were talking about Bush, and they were criticizing him. And I thought they were left-wing Democrats. They were conservative, ultra-conservative Republicans saying he wasn't conservative enough. You got two wars going, start a third one. Come on.
Yeah.
Take money away from everything. You know? It's like, just squeeze fucking everybody. You're not conservative enough. I almost drove off the road. I'm like, Jesus, there are people more.
And I think that's the way it's going to swing back. I think
that's
JD.
But I don't see that. I just see Elon Musk just all his money just paying everybody not to let J.D. Vance have a voice anywhere. Do you think Trump conservatives? I don't know many conservatives that aren't for Trump. I don't know who they would be for. But do you think Trump supporters are going to go for J.D. Vance?
100%. I don't think there's such a thing.
Really?
I don't think there is such a thing as... I need to hang on. How do I say this? Because I don't want it to be misunderstood. Yes, I know they support Trump, but what they support is that Trump is a nationalist, right? So I've discussed. Here's my theory, right? We were talking about like I was talking about the 70s and the 80s, right? So think of 1970s, 1980s, New York and America, where Donald Trump grew up and made his name. He's a young guy swinging through town, doing what the hell he wants. He's got money, people love him, and he's a big cheese in town, right? That was 1970s, 1980s New York. You could also argue that 80s was the last great decade for America, right? After that, it starts to decline a little bit. But 1980s America, full swing, full pomp, fucking bald eagle, stars and stripes, singing the national anthem. Everybody in the world was envious of America, and America knew it. Right? It was the fucking pride of the earth. Right? It's been on a decline ever since. And what Donald Trump represents is not Democrat, is not Republican. He represents make America great again. And what he means is, I want Ronald Reagan, George Bush, none of that. I want 1980s America again, where we are the best country in the fucking world and everybody knows it.
I'd say we're on the decline since the 1960s.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I think because they killed off the hippie movement, came out for 4 years, and then we crushed.
There is, without a shadow of a doubt, a valid argument. You can look at economics, you can look at human rights, you can look at all of these things. But in terms of what people believed, 1980s America was a hell of a place on the world platform.
Lots of cocaine, that's for sure.
Your culture, everything, everybody. And that is when I think what people see is they want that pride in their national flag. They want the pride in the national anthem. You got to remember, these people grew up in an era where everybody was proud of their country, and now you've got celebrity millionaires burning the flag, saying they're ashamed of it. That doesn't sit with those people.
All that stuff is just it's like tearing down statues for Confederacy. I'm like, just
and the problem is what people want, what Donald Trump represents is, let's make America great again. It's not a politics. It's a feeling. I want you to be proud of the country like I am. And what these people want is they just want people to stop digging out their country. They're looking at everything that's great about their country. They're looking at everything. A lot of these people are nostalgic, and rightly so, for a country where once, whether it was true or not, once they genuinely believed, if I worked for a living, I'd get by in life. Whereas now they're all just feeling screwed over.
Oh yeah. Phil Scott Heron has a song. Go ahead.
And all that Donald Trump is doing, all that Donald Trump is doing is making those people feel that they're right. So look, vote for me and I'll try and put it right some way or the other. There was an interesting quote. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's right.
There was an interesting conversation recently. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, was in front of some journalists, right? And he was getting slaughtered by the left-wing journalists. And one of them asked them, he said, because Nigel Farage, who's the head of Reform, who are currently leading in the polls by quite a margin, he said, how is it that you, a working class boy whose dad was a toolmaker, your mum was a nurse or something, has less in common with the voters today than Nigel Farage, who went to university and used to be a stockbroker and worked in banks? Why is he more able to connect with the people today than you? And that's the thing. Yeah. Why is Donald Trump, a billionaire, able to understand that people, all they really want is to pay their bills, listen to their national anthem under their flag with their heart on their hand on their heart, and feel proud? That's all he's offering. I don't know if he's a billionaire.
I don't know if he's a billionaire yet, if he's ever been a billionaire, but I think
he's doing better than you and I when it comes to finances.
No, yeah. But I think by the end of his presidency, and after his presidency more so, he will. But I don't think he's ever been a billionaire. You know what I mean,
though, don't you? He just...
Yeah.
All people want is, a lot of these people, they just had enough of everyone bashing their...
They're happy with it. Yeah.
You know.
People will be happy. But no, we don't have enough people. Most people are... 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. That's fucking incredible. And people have their homes now, and That's all they have in wealth, pretty much. But there's a song like Gil Scott Heron called B Movie. If you write that, if you get Gil Gil Scott Heron B Movie, that's a great album. It he talks about all the politics of Reagan and stuff and how they want to go back to John Wayne and stuff. And
Yeah,
it's a great
that's
political.
it in a nutshell.
Lays things out. Yeah. And I just performed in a couple of weeks ago. I performed probably now it's been 6 weeks in a really conservative town with the flag waving and country music and hamburgers and hot dogs. It was at a fucking gun range. It was called Liberty and Lead, which is another song I wrote, which is a title I wrote down to write another country song about.
What was that? What was that band and bloke you just sung?
Gil Scott Heron, Gil. I think it's Scott Heron. He was very political, heroin addict, and that's what killed him. Gil Scott Heron, B Movie. It's a long, I don't want to call it diatribe, monologue about going back to John Wayne times.
Mm.
And first time I heard it, I was like, man, Gil Scott Heron, man, I got to listen to more of you. But that just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can go back, but 8 years ago, I was for Bernie Sanders. I'm still for Bernie Sanders. I got in a discussion with a guy who was Kamala Harris. I'm like, so you settled for Kamala Harris because you really wanted Bernie Sanders, didn't you? I did too. And then you had to settle for Biden as for Kamala Harris, whereas Trump supporters didn't have to settle for anything. They got what they wanted. The guy was like kind of like he wanted to pretend like he didn't understand what I was saying. But certainly of Kamala Harris and maybe even of Biden. Biden stuck around too long with his brain going, unfortunately. But certainly with Kamala Harris, Trump seems much more genuine than Kamala Harris. He seems to believe what he's saying. Kamala Harris I can't think of anything she said. I've had people tell me what she said, but I don't remember anything she said. And Trump just made history, the first and the only president to knowingly, wittingly, and publicly on record, whilst having a press conference standing in front of the White House, said Iran and Israel don't know what the fuck they're doing. I'm like, he's going to go down in history as the first. I'm like, look, the world didn't blow up. When people when people don't like Tendbastard, I go, you don't like bastard. So
that's the point, isn't it? When Donald Trump stood there and told a journalist, Iran and they've been at this so long, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Everyone in the room was like, he's right. That's exactly what we've been waiting for somebody to say. You're bloody... And Donald Trump said it. All the other politicians, they want to scoot around the issue, but Donald Trump, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
He seems more genuine.
And that's
his
the other
hatred.
thing as well, you could see he was actually pissed off that they'd started fighting again.
Well, we bombed Iran. Iran retaliated in Qatar and Iraq. I think it's funny that we have military bases in Iraq, a country we were at war with at one time. Qatar seems neutral for the most part, but it's a Muslim country. And then the ceasefire came on supposedly, and then Israel fired again. That was what he's like. With Netanyahu, he goes back and forth. First, he's calling Netanyahu. He's saying he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Now he's calling for all charges of war crime to be passed away. But that's a politician too. Yeah. You're over here one day, you're over here the next. You're back.
He wants him to stop fighting. That's the end of it. He wants it. You guys got to stop fighting.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But Netanyahu was going on and on, going, we did this to Iran, and so I'm like, hey, you couldn't do shit without our money and our bombs and everything. Yeah. Israel can't be at war with Iran, Palestine, Jordan, Syria, or Lebanon and Syria. I can't remember which one. You can't be fighting all those countries. It was a bad idea to put Israel right there. We should have put Israel like next to New Jersey, maybe. We put them there because after the Second World War, the military-industrial complex was just taken off in this country, and they're like, let's put something right in the middle of the Middle East, so we can fuck with them all.
Well,
But
but there's a slightly it's a
well, people,
complicated situation
ugh,
because one of the outcomes of the war was the downfall of the Ottoman Empire, who controlled that area
which
before.
war? Second World War?
I think it might have been before the Second World War.
First World War, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah, the Ottomans were tough for a long time. They were running back into Europe, and King Sobieski, the Polish guy, they told him to go down. They gave him the scepter and said, "You fight down the middle." And in the meantime, everybody was figuring out how to divide Poland up.
yeah. So it was
Poland was
around the
in
1920s, wasn't it? The Ottoman Empire fell. They lost a war to, I think it was the UK.
Yeah.
The problem is that they had controlled what is today. I mean, it's really complicated, and I'm going to really screw up this explanation, but it was controlled. The Arab nations that we have today was once part of the Ottoman Empire, and we somehow got into a war with them, and we won, and then we kind of had to divide it up, and it's kind of like, and the problem, a lot of the the biggest problem as well is we're getting involved in cultures we don't know and then deciding how they should live together.
It's just business. It's not humanity. It's nothing except like when Saddam Hussein said he went down to take, what was the country that he invaded to the south?
Kuwait.
Yeah, he goes, "I'm just taking back what was ours," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Turns out that the British decided all the money and the cooperative families were in Kuwait, so they made the country. So in a way, that was correct.
But this is what I mean. After the Ottoman Empire fell, literally people were sat in a room.
And divided things up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same when Prussia fell. Do you know what I mean? It's the same when Prussia fell. It's the same. Do you know what I mean? All of these empires, when they collapse.
Yeah.
I mean, look at former Yugoslavia. When that collapsed, it got split. You know what I mean? Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia.
Oh,
Croatia.
Is that what happened? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was Yugoslavia.
Okay. Oh, it was all one country. Then all that other stuff come out. But yeah, like Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. I'm like, where the fuck do these countries come from? Yeah. I'm like, damn.
So somebody gets it in their head, like, well, actually, that used to be our country. We used to be a country, and they then want it back.
Crimea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of the USSR, you kind of understand. Once upon a time, there was no such thing as Russia and Ukraine.
It was all.
So here's something that people don't
Russia one time,
and we're looking at culture, right? In Russia, in the Eastern Europe, the biggest strand of Christianity is Orthodox Christians. Right?
Where?
In Eastern Europe, the whole of the Eastern European continent. Yeah. The biggest Christianity base is not Roman Catholics, it's Orthodox Christian.
I don't even know what that is still.
It's a form of Christianity. Right.
No, I get it. Yeah, but it's different Christmas, January 4th, I think.
Yeah. It's completely different. Different pope, different everything, right?
Big hats, black hats, no white stuff.
Yeah. So if the Vatican is what it is, to Roman Catholics, where is that for Orthodox Christians?
I don't know. Yeah, is there a place?
It was formed there in 508 AD.
Where?
Kiev, Ukraine. 508 AD.
I see. I didn't know.
No. So there's a lot of religion involved in this. You're trying to tell people they can't have their Jerusalem, for want of a better term.
Well, what's the majority religion in
Russia.
Ukraine? Are they Christians?
Orthodox Christians.
Ukraine is Orthodox Christian.
Well, Russia is.
Yeah, Russia is.
But Ukraine would be as well, yeah.
Did he get... Okay.
Yeah.
It's just... I'm just glad I don't live where the fighting is, but I might someday. It moves around. Nobody thinks that where they live, the fighting is. But anyone that ever lived if you ever lived in a war zone, you'd be like, no more fucking war. But most people that live there can't do anything about it. They can't. Like all the Palestinians are just getting killed.
I think one of the things that people don't understand. Look, there was a thing in Europe called the 100-Year War. Because we were literally at war for about 107 years.
I know, like, holy fuck.
Europe has had very little time of peace.
Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 100 Years' War. England, and who was the king of England then? Well, I guess a bunch of them at that
Well,
point.
yeah, that's the point. But if you look at the British monarchs, none of them are British. They're all German or French
Oh,
or Greek.
who was the?
Queen Victoria was German.
Yeah, and then her
Her son was German.
daughter Mary's a German, and her Queen Victoria's grandson was the head of Wilhelm Kaiser.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So it was Family Feud. I learned that
So
recently.
one of the things that was difficult for Great Britain during World War II is that the royal family. That's why the royal family name is Windsor, because their name was German. They had to change it.
A lot of people done that. Nostradamus
Yeah,
changed his
but the
name.
reason being is
No, Nostradamus.
the royal family was German. The British royal family is German by heritage.
Well, for that whole 100 years, from the First World War to the Second World War, and probably before that, everything in Europe, as if I understand, was based on what Germany was going to do. Everyone leaning like, what's Germany going to do? We have to wait and see. I mean, technically, the Germans, but they were certainly involved, as we were. Not so much, I guess, in the First World War. We got in late in the Second, but the Germans were on one side of both.
But there's a famous picture called the Nine Kings, or the Nine Brothers, Princes, or something, and it's basically the royal families, and they're at the funeral of Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, and they are all related one way or the other. They're either cousins, uncles, or brothers, and they basically went to war with each other in the First World War, and only 5 families survived. But they were all related by blood in some form or another, because Queen Victoria was the grandmother, was either the grandmother, the aunt, or the mother. Yeah. I mean,
and her grandson was Kaiser Wilhelm.
Divided. So you got to remember that entire family ruled the whole of Europe, including Russia, because it was Prussia then, and all of that, and it demolished all of those monarchs.
Yeah, it's 400 people, 400 families run the United States. I believe it. Everything's so weird. They got it down. It's business.
Right, I'm going to have to bust a move. Where can people find you? Is it still tendbastard.com?
Tendbastard.com. All small letters, all one word. Right. Tendbastard.
Well, it's been good catching up with you. We'll do this again later in the year if you like. I want to know more about this cannabis strain.
I look forward to it. When I had to cancel, I was like, man.
If we legalise cannabis in this country, I'm going to license tendbastard.com.
Nice. Oh, wait a minute. I'll help you.
Yeah.
You want to hear my country song?
Yeah, let's do that, man, before we go.
I mean, this song, I literally woke up, which I've trained myself between sleeping and waking. There's that dream state, and I wake up with really good ideas. I record them on my little recorder, and then I have them in the morning, and I woke up with She's This Country Has a Clear Blue Morning and Kentucky Moon.
Let's hear it.
July through December, January till June. And I go, yeah, I got it. I know the music. I know what I'm talking about. And so it came very easy. But I worked on tweaked the lyrics and came up with a lot of original images. Country has a Latin bug lighting, and a ladybug likes to flit. I'm like, you don't hear that in country. That's an original. No one could accuse me of my lyrics not being strong enough. I'm sure they might. They just say shit. They just have to say things.
Yeah.
You know, they have to make it a critique. So they'll go, your lyrics aren't good enough. I'll go, get out of here. So I recorded it on guitar. I need to get it on mandolin. It sounds even better. But for some reason, my fingers don't want to play the right chords. She's This Country Has a Clear Blue Morning. In Kentucky Moon. July through December. January till June. Yeah, and if she ain't country, then skunks don't stink, and cows won't ever come home. She's as country as deer and antelope roam. She's as country as she's ever wanted. Country as a girl can get. Country as you've ever seen. and the law will let. Country as country is country, far as you can spit. She's done country, and she ain't done yet. Country has a lightning bug lightning, and a ladybug likes to flit. Tried to be some kind of somebody else, but she couldn't get into it. Now she's sworn to be as country as she is right now, to remain forever baptized by that vow. She's as country as she's ever wanted, country as a girl can get, country as you've ever seen, and the law will let. Country is country, far as you can spit. She's done country, and she ain't done yet. Oh, the grapevine's fat in a raccoon's eye. She's as country as apple pie. Born that way till the day she'll die, then off to country heaven she's gonna fly. Country as sin, how she's always been, like she got a twin underneath her skin. Country in the morning, country at night, country 24/7, doing country all right. West Virginia coal mine, Carolina moonshine, four-wheel drive, keeping country alive. Kansas cornfield, Civil War battlefield, cabin in the woods that she's gonna build. Working hard, having fun. New Moon Fever, Mississippi Delta Sun, Bud Light Beer, Shiner Bock. Dallas, Texas, Little Rock, Hound Dog Howl, Rooster Crow, Nashville Skyline, Music Row. She's as country as she's ever wanted, country as a girl can get, country as you've ever seen, and the law will let. Country is country, far as you can spread. She's done country, and she ain't done yet. Yeah, she's done country, and she ain't done yet.
And there you go. That was Tendbastard, alive and well, with his beautiful dog, who is also alive and well. And do check out his website, listen to his music, check out his writings, his scribblings. And but above all else, as always, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for commenting, sharing, and wherever you are from, whatever you believe, please do take care and be blessed. Thank you.